Happy New Comic Book Day, geeks, and welcome to issue 35 of the Script Heroes podcast.
The show where we bring you comic news, book reviews, and industry blues. My name is Joseph Jasonowski, and I am the writer of Janitor Hero, Cunning Carly, and the Cryptoverse.
And I'm Katie Markham, script of the Rusty Robot Country Club and Ghostwriter Extraordinaire. Today in the polls, we're talking about Ultimate Spider-Man number 7 and Drawing Blood number 4.
Yep, only 2 this week, a little light after our long catch-up poll episode, which you can check out, will be linked. And if you enjoy that episode, this episode, or any episode, you can follow the pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at the handle Script Heroes Pod. Or you can find me personally on all the same socials at JJAZ1111.
Or me at Katie Markham Pro.
And now, let's move on to the news. Okay, so we missed quite a bit of news during our hiatus from recording due to technical issues. San Diego Comic-Con came. DC has released so much stuff. Other publishers, we're going to hit a couple of the highlights from DC. Luckily, we had already covered some of the DC stuff and stuff that ended up being leaked. So, that's nice. But yeah, I'm going to hit on a couple things that we had talked about some of, but even more has come out here, and I think that it'll be good to cover. So the first thing is, we've been talking quite a bit, and I think we've gotten good conversations out of it, which is why I'm continuing as they continue things. We've talked about DC's Finest, which is like the intro to different characters that have been getting released, and we had gotten the leak of the first couple things coming in Wave 2. DC's now released all of Wave 2.
Ooh.
So what we had gotten out of Wave 2 was Supergirl, Green Arrow, and Aquaman, if you remember.
Yes. I remember not guessing any of them correctly.
Yeah, no. We have now gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more.
Hot diggity! Wave 2 was a tsunami.
Yeah, all to release in 2025. So, quite a bit. If you want me to cover what was in Wave 1 before you try to hit a couple of these, there's a lot. So you might be able to hit one just blindly.
Yeah, just full buckshot.
Yeah. So, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, 0 Hour, Justice Society of America, Green Lantern, Flash, Justice League of America, Legion of Superheroes, Catwoman, and then as we covered the first 3 of this wave, Supergirl, Green Arrow, Aquaman. So that's what we have so far, and we have just so many more.
All right, can you give me the distribution of men, women, and teams / events?
Yeah, okay, so we have one man, not only, I'm just going in order here to add to different things. One team, 2 man, 2 team, 3 team, 4 team, 4 team, 2 man, 1 woman.
Okay,
Mostly
that's not
teams.
the distribution I was expecting. Oh, geez. I mean,
No.
I feel like it must be Teen Titans in there.
Yes, and do you want to guess what story is in there? It's definitely guessable.
Is it the Judas Contract?
Judas Contract.
It's always the Judas Contract.
The most adapted. Me and Kitty, I think we talked about this on the podcast. It's the most adapted comic book storyline of all time. It's been adapted in 4 different I think all TV shows. Oh no, there's the one movie. 3 different TV shows and the one movie.
Yeah.
Constantly being adapted. So you nailed one right off the bat.
Thank you.
Fully.
That one is the gimme. And you know what? Keeping up with that, I'm going to say that one of the men is Dick Grayson. I think it's going to be a Robin one.
Nah, you're off.
Darn.
You're wild.
Darn. All right, so that's one team.
The men are going to be the hardest to guess out of everything here. The 2 men are going to be the hardest to guess, and I don't think you're going to guess them.
Oh, geez.
You can definitely guess the woman, and you can probably guess at least one more of the teams.
I'm going to say that the woman is Hawkgirl.
No. Solid guess, but no.
Thank you. I was like, they have her in the Superman movie coming out. They
have her in the new Justice League series. So.
Okay, not Hawkgirl. I guessed Batwoman last time.
On the movie train, you might actually be able to get one of the men if you go off of the movie and tie-in train.
Oh, geez. Is it the Penguin?
It's not. No, you're going the wrong way. Go with the same man that you were going with Hawkgirl.
Oh, jeez. Who else is in there?
Not that movie. Go with the man making the movie. Think of who he would most want to have a book.
Scooby-Doo.
No.
Just kidding.
Think of the
No
DC
way, it's
character that he's doing.
Peacemaker.
It's Peacemaker.
Why?
Because James Gunn is obsessed with Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Carry this train into a team, and you can get there.
Okay. Suicide Squad.
Yep, there you go.
That tracks.
So you've got 3 things so far here. You're doing well.
And I have 2 teams left. We already did. It was
2 teams left.
Wave 1 already had Legion of Superheroes, right?
Yes. I think you can get one of these 2 teams. It's one of DC's bigger teams.
Is it Justice League Dark?
No, that's a good guess, though. I like that.
Because I would I have been trying to find like my in for Justice League Dark, and I'm like, if they put one out, I will buy that one.
You can definitely guess the solo female. Like if you
well, it's not like there's all that many options. Is it any sort of bat?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like the least helpful way you could have said that. Oh my god.
Not that family, but related
is it
to
Huntress?
Batman. No.
Okay. Related to Batman. I wouldn't do Talia. She hasn't had any like solo stories or anything.
No, but you're on the right train of thought. You're going on the right train of thought here.
Is it Poison Ivy?
I'm sorry, that didn't come through fully.
Poison Ivy?
I'm literally not.
Dr.
You need to say more than one syllable.
Oh, this man hates me. Ivy.
Yeah.
Pamela Isley.
No.
Okay.
But you're on such a good train right now. Just jump right over. Jump to the one right next to it. Like you're on Poison Ivy. Who's right next to Poison Ivy?
Is it Harley?
I can't hear you, but I'm assuming you're saying Harley Quinn. Yes, that is accurate.
In case you can't tell, visual listeners, Jay is on vacation right now, so we're working with like Airbnb Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so usually the first syllable, whatever Katie's saying, is getting cut out for me, so that's making her single word guesses like not great. Okay, so we're down to one of the solo men, and the two teams are left. You can get one of these teams because it's a DC team. It's a DC team.
I'm gonna go with a really fun guess for the teams. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
I think it's the Rogues.
It's not.
Damn, that'd be so fun though.
That would have been fun. That would have been a lot of fun.
Is it a villain team? Is it like the Injustice League?
No.
Okay.
No.
What major DC teams would I forget? Is it the Outsiders?
No. Come on. Do you want a hint? I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint if you want a hint.
Is it the Outlaws?
No. Okay, I'm gonna hit. They have a TV show.
Is it Doom Patrol?
Or had a TV show. It's Doom Patrol. There you go.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I don't think you're gonna get these last two. So I might just jump in here. The solo male is Plastic Man.
Ew, I hate Plastic Man.
Yeah, I don't know. But Plastic Man for some reason.
Like the cover that has him joining
what? Yeah.
The cover that has him joining the Justice League and he's like a big fish that all of them are holding makes me want to vomit. I hate Plastic Man with a passion.
I know you do. That's why I was like, you're not gonna get there. The team, it's not so much surprising, but I just know that you wouldn't like go there. It's Superman Family.
Oh.
So
interesting.
I don't know exactly what they're going with for that. Like I'm trying to look at the picture for it here.
Did they release the like eras that they were doing? Like they did with the others?
I don't have it here, so I don't know if they have the titles and the covers, I think is all that have been released. So and this cover is not super, but I'm guessing it'll collect like because back in the Superman heyday, like Superboy, which was young Superman, not like Superboy as we know it. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane, girlfriend of Superman, were like big books. So I'm guessing you'll be collecting those books. Would be my guess. The cover does feel very retro, so.
And I guess it makes sense if they're going for like, because I think the Superman one was the one from the 30s, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so like that trend.
Yeah.
If they're kind of
interesting. in any case,
do we have any other like distinctive eras from what you can tell on the covers?
Aquaman looks like his first appearance in the Silver Age. It looks like we're going OG Silver Age, like Aquaman here. Harley Quinn looks like it's going to be right at the start of her in the 90s. Plastic Man's hard to tell, but it doesn't look modern. Doom Patrol looks like it's their early stuff. Suicide Squad looks like it could be modern.
I feel like the New 52 Suicide Squad did well. Weirdly.
The Suicide Squad doesn't look like the New 52 team, but it looks like it's 2000s. You know, it's like my vibe from the it looks like modern cover art, compared to
yeah.
But it doesn't have Harley Quinn in her like New 52 outfit on there, so like I'm not we'll see. Anyway, let's move on.
Yes.
Because we have more stuff, which is we covered the first 3 Absolute books that got leaked, which was the Trinity.
Yeah.
But we have the next 2 Absolute books. I don't know if you've seen this, Katie.
I have not.
2 more.
I want you to know I don't look at news. So our podcast is also my source of news.
So we have 2 new books, and in my opinion, the correct 2 new books.
Oh wait, I think I heard about one of them. Is one of them Batman and Robin?
No, that's
was that just something that was on your wish list?
That's a year 1 like.
Oh,
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
2 new Absolute titles.
This is like the alternate universe Absolute thing.
Yeah.
With Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Their version of the Ultimates. We have the Trinity. I think they're gonna do the Flash, and why not Green Arrow? He has his series.
No,
is doing well.
No, what's wrong with you? No, it's Green Lantern. Get out of here! Yeah, it's they actually went with like their core 5 for once. Like for once they didn't try to be cute. They did it. Do you want creative teams and kind of?
Yes, please.
Actually, we have no details on Flash, so I'll just go with the creative team on Flash, and then I'll go with the like slight details in the creative team on Green Lantern. So the creative team on Flash is going to be Jeff Lemire writing it, and Nick Robles as the artist.
I don't think I recognize that artist. Do you?
Nick Robles is what I'm guessing you're asking about there?
Correct.
What?
Yes, that is what I am.
The single words don't help, Katie.
I am asking about Nick Robles. Do you know anything about him?
About Katie, stop taking pauses.
I didn't pause. Okay, listeners at home, I've asked about Nick Robles.
I'm so sorry.
I'm looking at it. I'm seeing a lot of cool covers that he's done.
Nick Robles, I am not familiar with. Obviously, I'm familiar with Jeff Lemire.
Okay, I don't want to taint any sort of impression of Nick Robles, but it looks like he does a lot of like slutty variant covers. Like I just Google imaged it. And
I'm gonna jump to his sequentials.
The ones that are coming up are the horny variants, which like makes sense as the stuff that comes up. But I'm sure that he's done. Oh, he's done most of his stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anyway,
looks like a lot of stuff for Boom.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of stuff for Boom. Anyway,
nice.
Sliding along here. Absolute Green Lantern.
Yes.
We have. Where the hell is the creative team here? Well, they buried the creative team on this one. I know the creative team, but I want the. There we go. Okay. So, the writer is Al Ewing, and the artist is Janoy Lindsay. Who I am.
I don't know if I know that artist off the top of my head.
No. Al Ewing, I think, is another one that we are both familiar with. Obviously, but Janoy Lindsay, Marvel. It looks like mainly here.
I was gonna say Marvel stuff. I was actually gonna ask about
Kate Bishop, Luke Cage, She-Hulk. Yeah. Anyway,
Al Ewing, has he done a lot for DC lately? I thought that he was also like, I was gonna say very iconically
he was a Marvel guy for a really long time. Yeah.
Because he's like iconic Hulk run.
Yeah, iconic Hulk. Yeah. In any case, so when they were doing, because like they also released like art of all the main characters at
Sweet.
Absolutely. So yeah, the hulking Batman that we've seen. There's Wonder Woman with a giant ass sword. Because apparently Wonder Woman's going to be raised in hell in her series and like part witch. Um, she's the
Okay, do
last
you
of the
remember
Amazons. Like
do
they've
you
given her like a
remember
Superman
from
origin.
do you remember from the panel if she's raised in hell or is she raised in like the underworld?
I think it's the underworld, whatever it is.
Okay.
It's like
I felt the need to clarify because I wouldn't put it past
yeah,
them to be like, yes,
yeah,
she was raised in biblical hell. And she is the
yeah.
daughter of Ares.
No,
It's like, okay, we're mixing
no,
a lot
no.
of
It's like I believe it's like all the Amazons. She gets the Superman origin where like all the Amazons
Mhm.
die, and she's like the last of the Amazons, and then she's raised in the underworld, and then that's how we get to the Wonder Woman that we have. Um,
Interesting.
I don't think there were many details about Superman, if I'm remembering, but he looked like Superman. He looked pretty basic. Oh, the interesting thing about Superman was he was fighting an army of peacemakers for some reason. So like we're getting even more. Um,
Thrilling.
and then Green Lantern is the next thing we got. So we got mentioned that it is going to involve Hal Jordan, John Stewart, and Joe Mullen as the Green Lanterns.
Nice.
But the art we got was for Joe Mullen, so it seems like she's going to be the main Green Lantern of this universe, I guess is how you put it. But yeah, the different amount of details on different series. It felt like we got the most about Batman and Wonder Woman. It's going to be It's going to be a Batman who isn't rich. Um, in case I'm just gonna because I know Katie doesn't know any of this. So I'm just going to throw it all out there.
Yes,
Be a
please
Batman who
do.
isn't rich. I think he's like an engineer or something like that. Was the vibe, and so he like builds his like Hulk. He's huge,
He
mammoth of a
is.
man.
I'm wondering, hearing this, I'm wondering if they're specifically doing that because if they're doing, people like to draw parallels between Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne. I
Yeah,
wonder if they're like, yeah, we're gonna make him like huge and jacked, so nobody can say that as he leans into the engineering side that we're
yeah,
just
that
copying
he's
Iron
yeah.
Man.
That's fair. That's fair. And then the other thing is that Alfred is not a butler in this world. He's like just an ex secret ops. Like he's just like a secret ops dude.
I'm not
Uh,
against that. Like I am a big fan of Alfred, former Secret Service agent, or whatever
yeah,
the British version of that
yeah,
is, uh, who is now the butler for this family. Like I
yeah,
think that's hilarious every time. But I understand if what they're going for is not hilarious.
yeah. And I'm just gonna I did all of that outside of the Green Lantern stuff that was right in front of me from pure memory. So I apologize if I fucked any of the details, but that was what I remembered of what we learned about Absolute DC. In any case, that's all of the news for the week. Do we want to talk about actual comic books that
Yes,
we have
but
read?
first I'm gonna throw in a small piece of news for the week. Um, Anyone who is eligible, we are getting down to the wire on this summer's Mad Cave Talent Search.
That's true.
Uh,
There'll be about a week left, I
there'll
believe, when
be
this
about a
episode
week
drops.
left. Yeah, you have to have your scripts in, I believe, by the 15th
Yeah, so it'll
of
be a week
of
and a day.
August.
When this goes up,
Yeah.
you're gonna have 8 days. So
Mhm. Remember, you have
yeah,
to do it based on a property. There's a list of them. Maybe we'll throw a link to the talent
yeah.
search down below,
Battle
so
Cats,
you can check
Hunt,
that out as well.
Kill, Repeat, right? And then there
Um,
were like two others, I think.
Nottingham, and
Nottingham.
it wasn't Beckstar, but I think it was like a sci-fi one.
Oh, no, no, it's The Devil That Wears My Face, I believe.
Oh yeah, 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 for horror.
Yep.
Rad.
Somehow
Yeah,
you
get
prompted
your.
me there with that, so that worked out really well. Anyway,
I don't know how you got from Beckstar to Devil That Wears My Face, but I support you.
yeah, I'm a weird lad.
You are a weird lad. But let's go be weird lads together and talk about our polls for the week.
Let's do it.
All right, we've got, a long drawn out poll list for you this week, but
Too much.
luckily that's already posted. Like an hour and a half of
Yeah,
content.
look at you, so clever.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, check out our 3-week catch-up video. That went up on Saturday. The Saturday before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that went up on
on
Saturday.
Saturday.
You're good.
Yeah,
You're good. Yep,
wonderful. Which means that we don't have a whole lot to catch up on this week because we took care of all of that in that video. So this
that's
week
right.
we are caught up, which means that we are checking out Ultimate Spider-Man number 7 and Drawing Blood number 4. But
That's
of
right.
course, that's not all we picked up this week. Uh, I'm also not sure what from my pile here is from this week and what's from a previous week. So I grabbed a random sampling in hopes that most of it's from this week. Jay, what are
Yes.
you reading?
I did not have much this week. I had Absolute Power Task Force 7-3, Ghost Lore 12, TMNT Black, White, and Green #3, and William of Newbury #3. That's all I
Nice,
got this week
nice.
outside of the books that we pulled
Um,
together.
yeah, you're reading that off, and I'm like, I don't think most of these are from this week. Excited with a
They
couple new
probably
number
are.
ones. There's The Last Wardens from Mag Cave, Paranoid Gardens from Gerard Way. Uh, this one was already not new when I grabbed it, and I don't remember if I grabbed it this week or last week, but Free Agents from Image looks fun. Another Massive Verse book, which you might like, is it's wrestling. Well, luchador wrestling, uh, which is pretty cool. Then, oh yeah, Moon Man came back, which we're thrilled about.
So you meant Massive Publishing, not Massiveverse.
Correct. Massive Publishing, not Massive.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
shouldn't
yeah.
have both of them happening at the same time. It's confusing. um, Greaser from Magma Comics, because you keep bringing up Magma Comics. I'm like, I should start reading some Magma Comics.
Comics puts out good
Then
stuff.
yeah, then Moon Man came out, and Man Cave Dick Tracy, and then a bunch of other stuff that I was like, okay, I don't need to bring those up, and I probably didn't need to bring these up either. I thought you would have more to say. Okay.
I have so much to say. I'm always saying. Uh, in a in any case, do you have a particular order? I know we got a lot of books to talk about, so it's hard to find the
It
order.
really
But
is. I think that we should do uh, what would definitely work best, which is over video cam, do rock, paper, scissors. If I win, we do Spider Man
this is a
first. If
horrible
you win, we do
idea.
Drawing Blood first.
This
Are
is
you
the
ready?
dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot! Ah! You got papered, brother.
I want to point out
Which
that rock paper
means
scissors is almost always unspokenly best 2 out of 3, but I'll accept the single round loss. You know.
okay. So we will start with Drawing Blood and then jump into Spider Man.
Okay.
Let's do it. All right. Drawing Blood #4. The Hollywood mogul making the gritty Ragdolls movie gives a disastrous interview on the first day of New York Comic Con. I'm sorry, New York Comic Convention. And a
There you go.
legion of loyal fans are after Books' head. Can he make things right? Right, or will he face the wrath of Khan? The writers here are Kevin Eastman and David Avallone. Kevin Eastman, of course, of TMNT, and David Avallone of Betty Page and Elvira. The artists are Kevin Eastman, Ben Bishop, and Troy Little. Kevin Eastman, Ben Bishop, both iconic Turtles artists. Ben Bishop also working on The Far Side of the Moon. And Troy Little of Rick and Morty and The Cult of the Lamb. The colorist is Brittany Peer, and the letter is Taylor Esposito. Now, if memory serves, you have said that this is your favorite issue of Drawing Blood.
This is my favorite issue of Drawing Blood. It's so good because they go so hard on the Michael Bay satire, and it's hilarious. Like, it is just so ridiculously funny, the level between, like, the actual, like, interesting story beats in this issue for the overarching story and for our characters, and then them just, like, making fun of the Michael Bay Ninja Turtle movies and the whole process of getting to the Michael Bay Ninja Turtle movies. Like, it is so funny. They parody the alien bit. Everything with that is just such a good, like, sight of comic book fans. Like, it's just so accurate. Like, you feel like you're in a comic book convention. These things are exactly how it goes, and it's so funny. And
I want you to continue your ramble, but I want to cut in real quick saying I have never seen the Michael Bay Turtles movies and I know nothing about them. It was
yeah,
still super funny, even without realizing that it was like a parody of the way he
oh yeah.
handled the turtles. I didn't know that there was an alien bit when they were doing the Turtles
Well,
movie.
yeah. Like, that was the whole thing of, like, it's the same thing where, like, it got out, people lost their shit, and then they reshot the origin of the movie so that they weren't aliens.
Amazing.
Um, Yeah, I love him in Michael Hart, but like even like his contact photo in the phone is
The
a picture of an
explosion.
explosion
Yeah.
because of Michael Bay. It's just so ridiculously funny. Um, I think there's a lot good in this issue. Like his interaction with Amanda, who's like the like starting up artist, is really great.
So
And
good.
it feels like it's somewhat personal to like Kevin Eastman, like the way that he's like looking at comics and the way that it's just really cool. Like it's the issue that most feels like
Autobiographical.
analysis of the yeah, biographical and like analysis of the comic book industry. Like it just looks like it's both a love letter and like a criticism of the comic book industry at the same time. It's like, here's what's wrong with this industry, but I still love it so much. Like that's what it feels like. And then also in this issue, we get for the first time like books kind of getting a positive moment. Like he did
Right?
something, he succeeds, he gets the alien shit to be gone, and he also helps out a man. Like this is a kind of a little bit of an uptick issue to him. He gets to do some things. He gets to have people be happy with him for once and like feel like he did something, good, which I love.
Mhm.
Um and then yeah, I don't know. It's just a great issue. Oh, and yeah, we get a couple pages from Kevin Eastman that are, as per
Yes.
usual, fantastic.
That
Of
made me
Booker's like
cry.
backstory. Yeah, the amount that Kevin Eastman can do in 1 to 2 pages in each of these issues is just so ridiculously impressive.
It's absurd.
So
Yeah,
good.
I fully understand why this is your favorite issue. This is easily my new favorite issue from the series as well.
Yeah,
The fact that I think it's very important that Books gets his like moments of happiness in this because it makes all of the shit he's going through feel so much worse. Like before, it felt like it was on purpose, a lot of stuff happening to him because like the debts
yeah. It
are
was
out
like
of
he
his
was going.
control.
Yeah,
Uh the theater stuff is a bummer, but not like entirely on his shoulders. Uh and then we see him like I don't know, doing small things for himself. And he even points out in the book that he's like, "Oh right, people can't like make me do these things. Like I have
yeah,
control. I have power over myself." And to see him come into that autonomy, I feel like is specifically very important and impactful in that when he has this feeling of autonomy over himself, he's doing good things. Like he's in a bunch of bad situations, but it's like, "Oh, I am in control of my actions, so I'm going to offer to publish Amanda's book. So I'm going to make my fans who made me, who I am, I'm going to make them happy and like take
yeah.
back control of this beloved property of mine." I feel
It
like it
it
was
does a
just
lot too
really,
to
really
like endear
important.
him to you. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
up at this point, like there's the good because you get the flashbacks of like when he first set up his studio. And I'm gonna try not to confuse the name with the real one. It's like is it art in this one? Is that what they call it?
Uh
It's some
it
sort of like far away.
yeah.
It's something like Arctic Press or something like that. Um, in any case, Alaska Press, I don't, whatever it is. Like you get that like oh he set that
Siberia.
up to try to. So we get that he set it up to try to help people, and like that's always there. So there's always like, the bit of like he's not just a completely irredeemable, awful,
For
expiring guy.
sure.
But this issue does so much to be like, no, he's actually like a nice guy at his core. Like he's trying to help people. He wants to,
Mhm.
people to like him, and he wants to help them achieve their dreams, and he really cares about the industry and the craft. So this issue does so much to make you go like, oh, this guy who's getting like his life, falling apart. I actually care because he's a good guy, and that
Yeah.
makes it so
And I
much.
think the important takeaway is that he still is a good guy. Because what we've
Yeah,
seen through a lot of the issues so far has been like him getting drunk and opioid high at a funeral
yeah,
and him
yeah,
like, doing things that are not necessarily like emblematic of him still being this great guy. And he like had a very selfish interest in his production. And
yep.
like we even see with the Lithuanians, which by the way, great joke when he's like, "How could you tell you they were Lithuanians?" And the person, how could you not? Like they're clearly Lithuanians. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wonderful
Obviously.
fun, wonderful funny joke. A lot of good funny jokes in this one. Um, and we see him being like, "Hey, we cast someone as the lead. Like, I can't make one of you the lead, and then it's a fun little twist on that anyway. And
Yeah,
it's just such a good issue for making books seem very much like he is still that good guy, and it's I think him coming back into being that good guy as well.
agreed, agreed. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's
I
so
love
good.
it.
Is it 5 or 6
Um,
issues?
5, I believe.
Oh geez, oh geez, this got me anxious for your books.
Or is it 6? Wait, no, yeah, no, it's 5 because I think it's 5, and then there's the like, and I don't think these are getting released in stores, but there was the like, there was the
The
actual
like
Ragdoll
issue of
comic.
Ragdolls, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think because I think it was 6 issues. So I think that's right. That seems correct in my brain
Ugh,
right now.
and
Also, we get
they
a
gotta
cameo
build them
from the
up before
creators
they
in
break.
this book, which is really
Yeah!
cool. We
It's
get
so
like
cute,
Kevin Eastman even talks, and then in the background, David Avalon and Ben Bishop are just like in the background, which is really
which is
fun.
so cute. I didn't recognize, Kevin
And then
Eastman
they also
and
make a
Ben
little
Bishop.
jab
I
at
don't
the
know who they'll
turtles.
get, but I'm
They're the ones like
assuming it's
looking at the book right to the side. Yeah, like the two
yeah,
of them are right there. Yeah.
which is so cute.
I should also say, like, I've seen David Avalon like once, and I don't really remember what he looks like. I assume it's David Avalon. I know that's what Ben Bishop looks like.
Is he the
So
one with the beard or in the suit?
yeah, yeah. So the beard is Ben Bishop.
Adorable.
But yeah. So my assumption is that the other one is David Avalon. I saw him at the Drawing Blood panel at last year's San Diego Comic Con, but I don't fully remember what he looks like.
In any case, super cute, really, really phenomenal issue. This is also a good place to bring up that we are removing numbered ratings at
We
long
are,
last.
we are.
I hate doing them, and I am so glad that
Yeah.
Jay has,
We're gonna
had pity
I
on me.
think starting next week, because we only have 2 books this week, we're gonna start a new system where we're gonna decide on 2 books every week to give our official Polis Rex
Mhm.
stamp to. And other than that, we're just gonna talk about the books, our feelings on the books. We're not gonna change kind of the way that we approach talking about them, but we're gonna remove that numbered rating because maybe that's not the best way to like sum up the way that we feel about them. But anyway.
Yeah, wonderful. All right. Well, that's going to take us to the end of Drawing Blood, I think, unless you have more fun facts for us.
No, I think I covered most of the fun facts that I have for this issue.
Perfect. I am so, so excited for the last issue here, and then for the series to continue on in stores, where hopefully you will
Yeah,
have gotten your Kickstarter copies by then.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's not even it's the last issue of the art, but they're
Yeah.
going straight through the first 2 volumes in
Hmm.
stores, so not even going to be a gap. So that's really cool. And hopefully the rest of the Kickstarter issues will come before then.
Yes.
Hopefully, we hope.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, let's swing over, little thwip action, to
We'll flip over.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Let's do it. Ultimate Spider-Man number 7. The Ultimates return. New arc starts here. After their intense battle with the Kingpin, Green Goblin and Spider-Man both know they aren't ready to reshape the world as they had hoped. Harry and Peter get to work, while Ben and Jonah work on the truth, and problems for the Resistance arise when the Ultimates return. The writer is Jonathan Hickman of Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men, and the artist is Marco Cicchetto of Daredevil and Star Wars, with colorist Matt Wilson and letterer Corey Petit. Katie,
Mm-hmm.
we had the ending of the arc wrong. Then we had liked kind of the new ending compared to the old ending, except there were way too many ads in the last issue. How
Yes.
are you feeling about issue 7?
Well, one, if you're an audio person, didn't see me flipping through, there's still just as many ads, but it's not as bad when it's not an issue-long fight.
Yeah,
Because at least there's some
not
semblance
quite as
of it.
obnoxious.
Exactly. I quite enjoyed this issue. I want to give my first shout to Marco Cicchetto, whose art continues to be like some of my favorite art happening in comics right now. I really, really love just the style that he has. It like feels very traditional comic while also I think a lot of it is also on Matt Wilson for the way that he renders all the characters. They're like
Absolutely.
I love the way that the lighting is. It's almost like this kind of watercolory type of coloring underneath. I love it dearly. The art's so good. So that's just like out there as a shout in general. There's this wonderful kind of turn of page where we see when they're testing out their suits, just like a contextless Spider-Man punching Green Goblin as like oh, that's a familiar look. And then on the next page flip in that same like kind of space occupying is them doing like the classic "I'm gonna help you up" grab, which I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's some well thought out art. We love to see it. It was delightful. Love the art on this so much. The issue itself was a little, I'm not going to say boring because I don't mean boring. It was a little fillery, I guess. Like it's the
Yeah.
start of a new arc, so there's not going to be obviously a ton,
It was
just
definitely a setup
immediately
issue.
happening. Yeah, yeah. A lot of the issue is dedicated to them building out or like learning the technology of their suits. We get a lot more Otto, which was super fun. I really like him. I'm very excited to see like what his vibe is in the
I was very
Ultimate
happy to see
Universe.
Otto
Yeah.
like put it in here. It's an interesting place for him, and it's exciting.
hmm
Yeah.
But I maintain that the highlight of the Ultimate Spider-Man series is Jonah and Ben. They have like a 3 or 4 page scene here, and I love the way that they interact. I love what they're up to. I think that it's so fun. We know that Katie Markham loves like a kind of pulpy noir, and they're doing like a little kind of like, oh, the paper's correct, so we gotta make a new paper, which is very like kind of pulpy feeling, very gumshoe. Uh, so I love that they're there, and I think that they're there in like the perfect capacity, where it's like a few pages every issue, nothing
Yeah,
crazy.
I I wish their section like had a little bit more like kind of actual set like it feels like they're spinning their wheels a little bit. Like I feel like they've been doing the same thing now for like how many issues that they've had their little scenes in. Like I want a little bit more progression out of their side of things, but it's like you said, they're not there. They don't overstay their welcome. So like they're still
Exactly, yeah.
very entertaining and their dynamics great. But yeah, it's a setup issue. It's a solid setup issue. It's good. It's entertaining enough to read, but definitely the first issue of a new arc. But the main fear when you get one of these setup issues is that you're going to get them back to back. The ending of this issue pretty much guarantees that's not going to happen
Yup.
because damn, that's an issue ender right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we can even talk around it because damn, it'd
It's
be a spoiler to even try to talk around.
yeah.
It's an
And I
issue
think that
ender.
is like an actual huge spoiler to even
Yeah,
say. So
yeah.
truly no illusions or anything.
No,
Just know that it is
read the
hype.
issue for it because it's good.
Yup.
And you could,
And
there's
it's
a
the
new arc.
start of
Yeah.
exactly. Start of a
So
new
get in
arc, you
there,
could jump right in.
see what the hell we're talking around because you're gonna want to see it.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have any further thoughts on Spoderman?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the
Yeah.
main thing that this issue did, and maybe you'll disagree this is the main thing that the issue did, but it set up AIs for each of the heroes' suits.
Mhm.
Um, I really like Green Goblin getting his father as his
Yes.
AI. One, the dynamic was great. The way that it
Mm,
like played off Harry, fantastic. Two, it's a fun little gag, but Peter having himself as his AI seems stupid and annoying as hell. I don't think that it was actually useful in the scene where they were like showing off how they would both work. I thought it was weird. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought Green Goblin. I was like, and like they even built up like the whole your suits are different because yours is like the original tech and yours is peak. I'm like they could have just had Peter not have an AI and like given because it feels
yeah,
like them making it Peter was just because they didn't want to actually give him an AI, and so I
exactly.
just think they shouldn't have.
I fully agree. I think the only way that it makes sense is, and this is like very speculative, is if, and it's speculative because this is what I was speculating, is that
Yeah,
he's not going to like keep himself as the AI. Like maybe he'll change it a few times, but what I think it's building up to is that, because one thing is that you have to like have a documentation of their voice and thoughts or whatever. I think
yeah.
with the shit going on with the truth, I think Kingpin is going to somehow cause the death of Uncle Ben, and that Uncle Ben is going to become his AI. So then they have like their parallel father figures.
That would be
Which I'm
cool, but also I
here's
don't
the
think Ben's
thing,
gonna die, right?
would it? I it's my speculation of what I think they might be going
Yeah.
for because I don't think they're going to keep it Peter. Especially because they immediately made like very stupid jokes with his
Yeah.
AI.
Well,
Um
I have two speculations on that end, but I'll let you. finish. Yeah,
But I think that if this is what they're going for, which again is just my speculation of what might be down the line, I think it's dumb because I don't think that Ben is a good AI. Like the reason that
that's fair.
Green Goblin works is because like Harry's dad is smarter than him. What I'm hoping, and I'm only developing this now. What I'm hoping is that Otto is going to be a bad guy, and he's going to somehow infiltrate Peter's AI, and like
Mm.
use that for manipulative evil.
I,
That's my
let
hope.
me throw out a few things. Let me throw out a few things here. One, I get what you're saying, and like it makes sense, but I don't think it's going there because I think killing Ben just doesn't make sense. Because, like, they set up the no, okay, Aunt May died in this world instead of Ben. Like the whole thing is that Uncle Ben didn't die in this world. Like this isn't a Spider-Man dead Uncle Ben world. And if they go there, then they're just like, what are you doing? Like, if you
I
just do
mean,
that again, like, what are
I
you doing? Like, I could see that happening like deep into the series, but like, I don't think that can happen in the first like 20 issues of this series. 24 issues. But the
fair
other
enough.
thing I'll go to is my vibe that I'm getting with like them making the joke so obnoxious is Peter's gonna get annoyed by this AI and decide that he doesn't want it anymore, and he's gonna get annoyed with himself, which is gonna be really funny. And I think there's two things I could see happening from there. There's what I think they're gonna do, and there's what I want them to do. What I want them to do is just go, okay, I don't need an AI, and then we can get rid of that. What I think they're gonna do is have MJ be the AI so she can like still be out there with him when he's out there. So that like, oh, touchy feely, crap. That's my prediction versus what I want to happen.
Okay, if they do that, I will be very mad because I think that's a weird moral gray area to do. If it's like, oh, I've got my wife with me all the time, and he'll like come home and sit down and be like, hey MJ, that was a really funny joke you told in the field today. And she's like, I wasn't there. It's like an AI version
I
of me. What
think
the fuck?
I think it will be her idea. Like is where I'm going with that. Like it'll be like a her thing to be like,
I don't
I
like
want to be
it.
out there with you. So like,
I'm gonna be
yeah,
very conflicted and a little grossed out by that. Like Peter,
me
you can't be
too.
in love
But
with your
that's just
AI of your wife.
that's what I'm like. I don't know why that's like the vibe I'm getting, but that's where like I think they are going to go, based on like very little outside of like pure speculation. But that's where you were getting the Ben thing. Like that,
Yeah.
my mind went to like, he'll get pissed off with himself and decide, oh, who would I not get pissed off with constantly in my ear all day? Mary Jane. Anyway, I digress.
Digress. Ooh, it would be rad. That's just another full speculation. I hope that down the line, obviously the voice of Norman is going to drive Harry crazy and he's going to become a bad guy. I hope that ends in Peter having to make the very hard choice of having to kill him, and then he'll put Harry as his AI. And it'll be like, Harry was a good guy. He was just corrupted.
You see, this is like the thing of like I fully and I think that you could be absolutely right, but like on the speculation trains that you're going on, the reason I'm avoiding that is because I think they lend too much into turning this Spider-Man into very similar to main universe Spider-Man. Like I think keeping this universe separate and
That's
alive,
fair.
Green Goblin as an anti-hero slash hero. Like I think those are important hallmarks to keep instead of just turning them into what they are in the main universe, you
That's
know?
very fair. Super fair.
But that's my personal opinion.
Well, hopefully he'll just turn it off.
He'll just be like, I am annoying. Finally, I will admit to everybody that my quips are annoying.
Look, Peter, I love your
Um,
quips, but listening to you quip to yourself and then quip back at yourself, no. It was too much.
yeah, no. It's literally the Deadpool, like when he had the two voices thing for like those few years, and you would just listen to him quipping against like his inner monologue. It's just that.
It's
And
just
that is
that.
obnoxious.
And like they made it
But
work and I'll very specifically say it. We only have 2 polls. I don't feel bad about going too long.
yeah.
In the Spider-Man games, and specifically the second one, Pete sets up all the like hologram Spider-Man training stuff for Miles around the
Yeah.
city. And because they're pre-recorded, he does quips with himself, and they're very funny and very well done. And so much of that is because Yuri Lowenthal is such a charming voice actor as Peter. It's amazing.
So that's
So
the weird thing. Like I
clearly,
think you can get away with it more in video games. Like one
oh yeah.
because the voice acting can lend something to it, and
Mhm.
two because like when you're going around playing in a video game, like quips are something to like just entertain you while you're playing instead of being like the sole thing you focus. The same thing is like the Deadpool video game has like him and the two voices in his head just like quipping back and forth the whole time. But it's like
Mhm.
you're playing a video game. That's entertaining as you're playing a video game compared to
Yes.
like reading a comic book where that's the only thing going on.
So hear us, Marvel, keep it to the video games.
Yeah, yeah. Keep the quips for the video games.
Yes.
In
Turn
any
off
case.
Peter's AI. In any
Yeah.
case, that was Ultimate Spider-Man. Super hype about this series, very excited for. The arc that's coming. Looks very, very thrilling.
Ha, totally.
Thrill? I don't know that thrilling is a Spider-Man pun.
I don't know why it like it was at first,
Would
and
you
then
prefer I
I
say
started
it
thinking
looks
about
like
it.
it's gonna be amazing?
Yeah, yeah, I would. I would.
There you go. Okay, okay. Rewind.
Or
I'm
spectacular.
very excited about this.
Or ultimate if you
Ooh,
really want to tie in.
no, I'm gonna be real saucy with the introduction of Otto. Looks like this arc is gonna be superior because I think Otto's gonna take over the spider suit, maybe with
Aren't
his
they already
AI.
doing a spin? Like, didn't they start up a Superior Spider-Man book again? I think recently, if I'm
Maybe
mistaken. Might have
isn't
ended.
the
It might have
thing
been a
with
miniseries.
Superior Spider-Man
I
that
think that
it's
happened again.
Otto
Yeah,
in
it's Otto.
Peter's
Yeah,
body?
yeah. I think they
So
just
like,
started
how
up
would
another
they
book
get
though.
away with that? Is it just
I
like an
think it's probably yeah. I think it's like alternate universe where like
weird?
yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
I digress.
are we ready for the
The
Creator
Creator
Corner?
Corner. Let's do it.
All right, here we are in the Creator Corner, where we sit back, relax, talk about books, talk about publishing, talk about the comics industry. This week, you were recently at a Comic Con, and this is something I think you do very well at said cons. I would love to talk about marketing yourself as a comic
Okay.
creator. How do you get out there, get work, get your name out there? All that good stuff.
It's one of those things that's like it's difficult and it's very dependent on one what you're trying to do and two what you do. Um and so basically one if you're an artist, it's gonna be a little bit more apparent how you can
Yes.
market yourself. Um get a good portfolio together and here's the biggest tip that I'll give any creator. Physical. Physical. These editors that you're gonna be talking to, whether it's at portfolio reviews, if you're at a big convention, there'll be specific portfolio reviews and stuff that you can do, which especially as an artist is a great kind of thing to do. But even as a writer, certain portfolio reviews you'll be able to do. They're going to get so many people who show them their things physically and then either give them like, you can find it at this address, or here's my card with this address. So easy to get lost. A physical portfolio that you make copies of and you can give to them physically is going to be so much easier for them to remember who you are, easily have access to your stuff. So physical portfolios is one of the number one things. Now, if you're trying to market an actual book, which was kind of my goal at this comic convention compared to like last year, I was trying to market myself. I brought portfolios. This year, I brought physical pitch packets for a book that I was pitching, and that's effective too. So, and something that I was told by an editor this year, despite having done it a little bit, because some people don't do it at all, and I was told to do it even more so, is have art throughout. Which so even if you're
Mhm.
taking like little screen cutouts of bits of the pages, just on that cover page, on that intro letter page, make it visually interesting so they don't get bored. So yeah, physical and visually interesting is I think two of the biggest things, but whether it's portfolio reviews or just editors are hard in terms of like going up to them without a portfolio review. They're gonna get a lot of that. They're not gonna enjoy that. So I think editors are best met at portfolio reviews, and other creators are best met within the more
Mhm.
traditional, like just talking to people methodology. But I'm not going
That
to
being
ramble
said,
too much
another
before I let
place
yeah more things happen here.
to kind of ambush editors essentially is check out to see who's like moderating the panels that have like DC and Marvel creators on there. I've noticed a lot of times it is like it might just be a Chicago thing because I think it's one of the Kubricks, one of the DC editors. Uh, I, she moderates panels at conventions, and at like three of the panels that I was at C2, she's like, and if anyone wants to talk about editing, feel free to chat with me after the panel. It's like, oh, there is like your
Yeah.
person. And getting yourself out there and getting yourself in front of people is very important. I think another great way to kind of get your name out there, like you said, you want to have things to show, and like doing things like the Mad Cave talent search. Like I was chatting with the
Oh yeah.
man from Mad Cave, the editor of Mad Cave, when I was at their booth, because he was there slinging his books. It's much easier with like the smaller level
Mark
publishers
London
like that.
is who you're talking about.
One more time.
Mark London is who you're talking
Yes,
about.
yeah. And we chatted about the Mad Caves books. Luckily, I read quite a bit of Mad Caves, so I was talking to him about them. He was super
I was
sweet.
gonna
He
get
like
to it.
comped
Yeah.
me a copy of one of the books that I was looking at. I'm like, oh, rad, absolutely. And I let him know. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited that the talent search is coming up. This was back in the spring, so it wasn't live
Yeah.
yet. Like, yeah, I submitted last year. He's like, oh, I'm so excited to look at for your submission this year. So I'm very. It's good to just get that kind of FaceTime with people. But if you're not at
Absolutely.
conventions, if conventions aren't super around you, uh, submitting to anthologies, just doing things so you can have like physical proof
Absolutely.
of your work. And that's also a good thing to do
Absolutely.
if maybe you can't afford to pay an artist right now. Because, if you get into the anthology, you probably won't have to pay that artist. Like
Yeah.
some of them are like, you get this much money for the team, but that takes care of the money for the artist in that case.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a tough thing because like it's really dependent on the person and the panel. Like there's a lot of panels that you go to where you just can't get to anybody after
For
either
sure.
because security won't let them or they are not into that. Like I've
Yeah.
seen people try to get things signed after panel, try to talk to me, but and have the creator be like, "Not here, don't do it here. Like I'm
Which
gonna
is
talk
so
with my
fair.
friends now or whatever." Oh, super! Because there's like 200 people in any of those panel rooms, and if they all just like
Exactly, yeah.
swarm, but yeah, I've made connections after panels too. But it's very dependent on who the person is, where it is. San Diego, you never get to anybody at the top of
Right,
that
yeah.
panel. The security there is absurd. If they see you walking toward, like if they see you walking forward instead of out toward a door, they are. I mean, usually they like literally tell the people. You'll see them stand up from panel, and they all take a step back, like toward the wall, so they're not like at the table for you to. So San Diego, real tough. New York's been getting tougher in terms of
Mhm.
that, in terms of security. But then again, it's depending on the creator. Like if you have somebody who specifically says like, meet me after the
Yeah.
panel, fantastic. I actually had that at San Diego last year. One of the like, guy who was moderating, he was part of like I can't think of the name of the group now. Like basically a site that was intended to like teach people about comics and like connect people with like editing resources and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, he had offered for anybody to talk to him. Uh, he had moderated a panel with people like Philip Kennedy Johnson, though, who didn't make such an offer because I'm sure they
Yeah.
get swamped. So
Oh, yeah.
that's important. But kind of in any of those regards, because you were talking about all these great things about like, okay, I talked to this editor, I talked to this person involved here, and then you talked about like, oh well, I talked to them about this, or that, and they were all things that you were involved with or you had read or whatever. That comes to I think the most important part of networking, which is to
Mhm.
be genuine
Oh, yeah.
because they sniff out a mile away if you're just like, big name. This person edits at this. I haven't read anything, but I'll go up and say, I'll find the top things on their League of Comic Geeks and I'll mention those offhandedly. Like, these people get this stuff a lot. It's very easy to tell when somebody's genuine versus somebody's just trying to like, kiss your ass to try
Yeah.
to get something. So I think it's much more productive. And again, different scenarios. If you go into a portfolio review, you go into a portfolio review. Like it doesn't necessarily matter if
Exactly,
you
yeah.
can be like, I know all your stuff. It's great if you can, and then you can connect on that. But if you're going up to somebody to be like, I'm a great fan, or you're going to a signing with somebody, whatever it is, you're going to somebody's booth. Um, I think it's better to go to like, okay, here are the two editors at the company that I read books of all the time, and I've seen their name a ton on stuff that I care about compared to I'll go to the biggest companies and I'll go to all those people. Like I think that these people are very good at knowing when people actually like their stuff or are actually involved with their stuff versus are
Mhm.
just trying to get something out of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And you don't want to not to, like, put on, I don't know, like, a mom hat or something, but, like, you don't want to market yourself as something that you're not because
Yeah.
then you're not being selected for what you are, you know? And, like, that sucks and is bad for everyone involved. Um, and that being said, I think one of the biggest things about being a, writer or an artist or whatever is being a reader kind of first and foremost. Like 99% of the people
Absolutely.
you hear talk about making comics, they say, "Yeah, I started reading comics and fell in love with comic books." And so if you're looking like I didn't even realize that the editor was going to be at the Mad Cave booth. I was there to pick up a couple of Mad Cave books that I wanted. It's
Yeah.
if you're like doing things because you love to do them, hopefully that'll show through as well. And that also comes through
Absolutely.
with any sort of book you're pitching. Like if it's a book that you don't care about, or you're like, this is selling right now, so I guess I'll write this, that's not going to have the same effect as saying, this is a book that I love. And those two don't have to be mutually exclusive. Obviously, you can choose your stories wisely. But if
Yep.
it's something where you're just trying to be as formulaic as possible,
Yeah.
then you're
You
you're
also,
you're not going to be
yeah.
able to pitch yourself well.
And if you're chasing trends like that, you're always going to be behind because people don't seem to realize how long it takes from like
Yeah.
starting to make thing, not just to then pitching thing, but then to releasing thing. Like you will end up being a year behind this trend or 2 years
Oh
behind
yeah.
this trend. Like you are not going to actually be able to catch that like you think you're going to. But I think like you kind of hit on something there with like the excitement behind pitching yourself, your project, whatever. But that kind of hits the other end, which is you need to have that down. Like what is it that you're
Yes.
pitching and how? And one and I was talking actually at San Diego Comic Con with Bobby Curnow, who's was a longtime IDW editor and is now the editor at Magma Comics. I was
Mhm.
talking to him about this, and he was like, "You're still like you're better than a lot of people, but still too long." Which is just that people go way too long on their
Yeah.
pitches. He's like, "You could here are the things I think were actually important in how you pitched me, and I would just say those, and I'd cut out the other things." But he's like, "There are people who will ramble." And there's no he's like, you at least had like your parameters of like what you wanted to get in there. I just don't think everything in there had to be in there. He was fantastic, by the way. An editor who I'd highly recommend talking to because he knows what the hell he's talking about. He was the editor on the IDW Ninja Turtles run that I'm always talking about. That is amazing. That 100 issue run with Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman. So good. Anyway, but yeah, so I think having a concise kind of and like I'll give you the two, the one for pitching a book and the one for pitching yourself. If it's a
Mhm.
book, distill it down to the most basic features. And then if they ask questions, you can elaborate. But if it's like, it's about anthropomorphic fox who's trying to, find a place to live in the forest. I don't know. Like, just give that, you know, and then let more come. Don't give and he has this friend over here who does that, and he lives in this, and he does that, and that, and it turns out actually that all their spirits are linked, and they have humans that are linked. Like, don't get into all that. Start at base level concept, build out, and then for pitching yourself, super simple. I am this, and then you either go, are you published? Are you not published? And that's a big thing because if you haven't, and here's the thing, if you've done anything that has been released, you are published. You do not have to get into the weeds of like, well, I did
Yeah.
a 2-page webcomic. You're published. Great. Drop everything else. If you're not published, you're gonna see like kind of their eyes change if you're published or
Yeah.
not published. There's like just that thing of like nobody wants to deal with somebody who hasn't done anything. So
Mhm.
do something. Whether it's like I said, a one-page comic, do something just so they know that you can do something. Like that's the thing. We're in an era where it's easy to publish something
Yes.
that editors really do get turned off if they hear you've published nothing. Because they're like,
Mhm.
what the hell are you doing? Like, what have you done with your time? Why do you not have something crappy up online? Because it's so easy to have something crappy up online. And then once you're published, it's just, I am this. I do writing, editing, lettering, coloring, art, and I am looking for work. Or I am looking to do covers, or I am looking, and if you're just looking to do covers, unless you're a big name, you're going to have trouble. But I know there's people out there
Yeah.
trying to do that, so I'm not here to rain on your parade, but looking to do
But
covers,
that might
books,
be more of
whatever.
an indie scene thing rather than
Yeah,
and I mean like true indie, like Kickstarter style scene,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
as opposed to, IDW.
yeah. And it's that simple. I'm looking to color, I'm looking to letter, I'm looking for this, I'm looking to edit, I'm looking, whatever. Those three things are the only thing you need to pitch yourself. Who are you? Are you published? And what do you want to do?
Yeah, and I think
Here's your intro level.
you hit on a lot of great stuff in there. Looking specifically at the book pitching part, I think
Yeah.
an easy thing, like I hate talking to people who I want things from. Like it makes me very uncomfortable. I'm just like, oh, I'm so sorry to waste your time. Like it's not a waste
Yep.
of your time, but whatever. Um, a really helpful way to kind of get a sense of what you might want to look for when you're pitching is to listen to people's pitches. And by that I mean one of my goals at C2E2 this year was to just fill the fuck up on like true indie books from the dealer's hall and from Artist Alley. So
Yeah.
like I would walk up to people's booths and say, "Oh, can you tell me about your book?" And they would tell me about their book. And oftentimes, like you said, the big kind of the big bad wolf in the room was when they would just ramble on and on and on about it. I'm like, okay, I am lost in the weeds.
Yep.
I don't understand what's going on in your book. Thank you for your time. Wouldn't say that, obviously. But
It's
yeah,
so hard
listen
to
to
say
what
no
other.
once you get the spiel, though. When they go off for like 2-3 minutes, and you're
Oh,
like,
see, that's when you
oh,
lie a little bit and you say, "Oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. I'm gonna swing back later." And
that's
you both understand what
yeah.
that means, but you don't have to
No,
deal with the
that's the thing.
rejection.
I feel so bad with that. Like I do that at bigger booth. Like if I'm do like on the collecting side, because like if you're looking at something that's like
Mhm.
a couple $100, I always use the line of like I wait to make my big purchase until the end of the convention,
Oh
so
yeah,
I
yeah,
might be back. It's so much harder when they're trying to sell you a $5 book, and you're like, I'll swing back late because like no, you won't.
See,
You
and now
buy the
here's the thing.
$5 thing right now.
That's why you ask about like the collected edition, because then it's like a
Mm.
$15-20 thing, and it's like, okay, rad.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
said, with the $5, I'll often just buy it anyway. So like, I
yeah.
something about your book drew me in, so I will get it and give it a try because I also want to
Yeah.
support you, like coming here
But
and
yeah, there's a
yada
big difference
yada.
between the people who will give you like a great like one of the ones I always see at the conventions is Committed Comics. I ended up buying a book called Funkometer from them, which was really cool.
Mhm.
Um, and like they're they have a bunch of books there, and you'll like go in and they'll be like, oh yeah, what genre do you like? Whatever. Oh, these are kind of the things I like. They will then give you such a quick, easy like this book is about this, this, and this, or you might be interested in this book, which is about this, this, and this. If you show interest, they can give you more. If you ask a
Yep.
question, they can give you more. But they don't just there's so many ones I've gone to where they go like, yeah, so I'm really into like this mythology and then like this, and then if you know like this happens in this, so that's why this is kind of like that. And then we also have this character who does that, and then this, and then and you're just like, huh? Like this is a single 24-page issue, man. Like there's not enough room in there for everything you just told me. Like I get
All
it,
right,
we're
are
all
you ready
excited, we've
for?
all built the worlds out in our head, but there's the in our head and on a vomit doc versus the what you tell somebody you're trying to either buy or well, publishers still buying it. They're just buying it in a different way, like
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Here's the real hack for you, because that's what you often see on the floor with people who've got a booth and are doing that. What could be very valuable, and what I noticed back in the day when I would go to the Aftershock booth before they couldn't afford to go to conventions anymore, um, and with the Mad Cave booth this year, they're pitching their books very professionally. Like I went up to the Man Cave booth to buy specific things and then was asking about other books. They had those log lines on lock. Like they know how
Oh
to
yeah.
sell the books that they have bought because they bought the books.
They also like
And
Mad Cave's gotten to the point where they're not a pitch booth anymore. Like they're a you have to ask about like you go to them. They're not like
exactly,
gonna
yeah.
sit there, which I think like literally like 2 years ago, Mad Cave was still in full blown like we're gonna
Mhm.
pitch you on everything. Like you would go by and they'd be like, "You want to hear about Battle Cats? Like you like anthropomorphic animal? Here, we'll tell you about Battle." And they were always very good at the pitching.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like they have gone out of that mode and into like we're like IDW and Dark
Mhm.
Horse where like you come to us and like if you ask about something we'll know how to pitch you on it like you said, but like
Yeah.
they're not in the full blown like we are trying to get readers because we don't.
But that's also a bit of a wacky hack because if you listen to how they're pitching the books that they have there, you can kind of start to hear what they're looking for, like what the format
Yeah,
of a pitch sounds like to them. And
yeah,
that being said, to touch on another thing that you said with having like your very bare bones pitch, which you should have your very fast pitch. You really want to include what makes your book unique in that. Something we were
absolutely.
talking about, I don't remember if it was with John Layman or David Andre. I think it was one of the two of them though. When you're pitching, there are no secrets. Like, the plot twists
Oh
are
yeah.
not for the publishers. So, like, if your character has something going on with them that's not revealed in the first issue, you don't want to leave that out because you're not pitching the
Oh yeah.
issue, you're pitching the series. And so it's
Yep.
like, oh, my character who is this cool thing doesn't know that she is, divine blood or whatever, and, has to save the world, whatever your pitch is.
Yeah.
Um, so make sure you put whatever makes your book cool, but also incredibly importantly, whatever makes your book unique. Like,
Absolutely.
that's what you want to have in your pitch so that it is a pitch on why your book will sell.
Yeah. But I think the key thing there is like when it comes to pitching a book, it's not the same way maybe pitching yourself or like in person anyway. Everything's different in
Mhm.
person. Online, you're going to put together your thing. It's going to be your thing. Great, whatever. It's not going to be a one-step process. Like
Of
there's the
course. Yeah.
initial get the interest, tell them what it is, and then there'll be a longer thing. So yeah, you want whatever's unique and special in there. Absolutely. If that is the ending, if that is the plot twist, it needs to be in there. But like don't think because there's no secrets, and this was I think one of the mistakes that I made during this convention trip with a couple of them, like you don't need beginning, middle, and end in your pitch to the publisher, like in
Mhm.
that initial pitch. Because again, it'll be a multi-step thing. Like if your interesting thing has already happened and like yeah, the resolution's there, they don't need to know what the resolution is in your initial pitch. It can be this guy goes on this and then this happens and that's what makes it so cool. Boom.
Yeah.
There's your pitch. They don't need to know that like and then he slays the dragon at the end. Like that
Right.
that once they go, maybe then they'll ask, they'll be like, oh man, that's really cool. So how did you resolve that or whatever, and then you can go, oh, well, yeah, he ends up slaying the dragon with the magic sword that he got. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't actually have a book in mind, but yeah, it's what makes it unique. It's not necessarily the end. Can be the ending, but don't think that you need a beginning, middle, and end in an initial
Mhm.
pitch. If you're pitching to a publisher, at some point you're going to need to give them the beginning, middle, and end. If it's a physical pitch, it better be in there. But very often in the in-person process is going to be, I have a physical pitch that has like a full plot summary in there, but I also need to get them interested enough where they will take this physical pitch out of my hand. And that
Exactly.
comes down to just give them a quick blurb that sounds cool. And if you have somebody involved on the book who they will care about, you're going to pitch, like for this, it was very much I know they're not going to give a shit who I am, but they're going to give a shit who the artist on this book is. So I'm going to lead with, here's what the book's about, with art by this artist who did this book. And
Mhm.
then that was how I did it. Every time I went up to somebody, it was, here's, I have a new book. Actually, I actually led with the artist with a lot of them. I was like, I have a new book that I did with this artist who did work on this book for this major publisher, and here's what it's about. And then most of the time they took the physical pitch.
Yeah.
Most of the publishers went,
And in
okay,
that
I've heard of that artist, and so out of respect for the artist, I'll take this, or
and that's
a
kind of
couple of them were
that's
interested
one
by
of
the
the
pitch.
things that made your book like unique or special is that it has art from someone they know. Like it can
Yeah,
be something as small as that. Or like I don't know if your book somehow you like showed it to I'm just gonna use Mark Wade as an example for funsies. If Mark Wade read your book and said like, "Oh, you have a lot of promise, kid," or something like that, then saying, uh, Mark Wade liked my book. Not like that, but like working that in there, finding the ways to like grab every good thing about your book and distilling it down. Like
yeah.
finding those important, unique things that'll make you
It's
stand
always
out from
such
other
a
people.
tough thing with like the name drop. Obviously, name dropping somebody on the book is gonna be because the person on the book will also want the
Yes,
book.
because
But
that's
like,
part of the pitch. Yeah.
yeah, if it comes to like this person saw and liked the book, where I would draw the line on that is only use it if they gave you a pull quote. Because once they give you a pull quote, that's like their level of saying, I am willing to say that I
Endorse
like
your
this
book.
book. Yeah, endorse your book.
Mhm.
If you've not gotten some level of them, whether it's a pull quote or something where they said, I am willing to endorse this book, and you start throwing their name around, that's a good way to burn bridges or like
For
give
sure.
somebody a
Yeah, like
sour
I
taste in
don't
their mouth.
mean I don't mean that you handed Mark Wade your book when you were getting something signed by him and he like flipped through it. I mean he
Yeah.
like took your book and emailed you back or something.
Yeah, but even like if they email you back, if they're not saying like I'm giving you a poll quote, like somebody's saying like I think
Fair
this is
enough.
good, is not necessarily a use my name to get this published at publishers, like stamp of approval. I think that there's
Very
levels
fair.
there, and it's very easy, especially depending on the person, you know, I was about to throw out something like, not name people who I think are easily pissed off in this industry because that's maybe a bad idea. But there's people in this industry who it's very easy to burn bridges with. And there's people out there who you could do almost anything outside of like kicking them in the face and they'll be like, hey, next time can you not use my name? I didn't really like that, but I'm not gonna like get,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think there's a lot of people in comics who, especially with name dropping stuff, are easy to kind of rub the
That's
wrong
so
way. So
fair, and
just
I
make
think that
sure
that
that you
comes
have
back to
something that's
yeah, kinda
yeah,
comes back to what we were saying earlier as well with, like, pitching genuinely. Like, you
yeah,
don't want to, like, take advantage of something.
absolutely. It's like one of those things where this is still an industry, and like it has its drama and it has its people who are famous, but like there's people who you're not getting anywhere near Todd McFarlane,
Right.
because some people in this industry still have ascended to a level where they are treated as a big deal. But it's tight enough to where like there are a lot of creators who are a big deal in the industry who you can still interact with and stuff because
Yeah.
they're not, a movie star. Like there's a different level of stuff here. Um, and because it's still in that like intimate place, you get to interact with and do things with people who are a big deal. But it also then means that it's very easy to step on toes or do something that isn't genuine or so you want to be as much a part of that community as possible. Maybe you got to involve yourself in the business. The business is extremely
Yeah,
important, but you don't want to come off as a businessman to people, if that
exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah. And again, you probably won't if again, most people you see who make it in comics because they love comics.
Oh yeah, I've told people. I think I say this all the time. Like this is a really dumb industry to go into if you don't love it. Not because like
There
a
is
you
not enough
can't make
money in
it.
it for it to
Yeah.
be
No, yeah, because that's the, like no, there are people who absolutely have made enough money where it's like, oh yeah, well it makes sense because you could do that. It's like, yeah, but you could just as easily, if you don't have a love for it, do another industry where your ceiling and floor are probably higher.
Yeah,
Like I don't know why you would go here because I think the amount of effort you're gonna have to put in versus the what you're gonna get out of it, it's just not proportional to other industries with similar skill sets.
yeah,
Like, especially as a writer, like I think you're gonna do much better going out and writing short stories and novels and screenplays and stuff like that. Like you want something that's just as hard to break into with a much higher ceiling, like just go into screenwriting. Like if you don't care about the medium, like you so much might as well just go into screenwriting instead of writing comic books. Um
yeah.
and if you're an
And
artist, I
especially
think there's similar things too. Like you
mhm,
might as well go into, like doing book covers or doing painted covers for like box art on
mhm,
games and stuff like there's things that are probably going to pay you better than being an interior artist on comic books.
yeah. Yes, this I want to hit on one more thing. I know we've been going a bit on our
Yeah.
creator corner. I want to know your perspective on using the internet to market it yourself. Because talking about communities in comics, it gets kind of murky when the community is
Yeah.
all like people pitching to each other.
It
Because like you want
yeah.
that fan community as well as that creator
Oh, well,
level of community.
you got to build up a fan audience for sure. But we're talking about like getting jobs. Like I have a few views on it. What for pitching books? Absolutely fantastic. Like that's
Yeah.
the number one way to pitch a book is through the online methods of pitching a
Mhm.
book. We're talking about getting jobs. Online is it depends on your goal. Is your goal money or is your goal breaking into the industry? Two
Mhm.
different things.
Oh yeah.
Online's great for money. You can find people willing to hire you. But those people willing to hire you are not going to do a book that is going to help your place in the industry one iota, unless you've never been published before. Because again, that switch is
Yeah.
important. But once that switch is flicked on, as somebody who's gotten hundreds to maybe over 1,000 at this point of jobs online, the vast, vast, vast majority of them have helped my career, not one iota. And my career has been helped more by talking to people at conventions than it has through
Yeah.
hundreds of hours of marketing myself online. Because it's a different sphere. The
Yeah.
like as much as they tell you that they are outside of the very heavy hitters, the editors are not actually online looking at like comics that are posted to
No. Yeah.
Global Comics and Webtoon and Tapas or all the other ones. Like maybe if you have one of the biggest things on those sites, sure, you might then draw an attention. But
Mhm.
they're not really looking at that kind of stuff compared to once you put yourself in their face, they have to look at you because now you're in their face. So it's about what you want. There's people who I know, and like both are about a love of what they're doing.
Oh
But
yeah.
there's people who are like, I just want to do this, and I don't care how I'm doing this or where I'm doing this. If people are paying me to do this, I'm happy. And so then, great. Get your work online on books that aren't going to be read by a ton of people, but you get to do what you love and you'll be paid for it.
Mhm.
I've done that for years. You know, it's great. But there's also different people, different goals. And one of the people has goals like, I want people to read my book. I want my book on shelves in stores. You know, not everybody cares if the book's in stores. I do. So there's a different methodology and there's a different
Yeah.
way. I don't think marketing yourself online often leads to a book on comic book
Mhm.
store shelves.
Absolutely. And I think there's kind of a third sphere of that, where, there's I'm doing it for money, which is like doing freelance work, which is what both of
Yeah.
us got our start doing. There's the I'm doing it, you know, to get it in stores, which is where you're gonna want to look to more of these traditional publishers. And then there's also I just feel the need to shout them out. I don't think either one of us are this brand of person. But there's also the I'm doing it just to put it out there, which is like the
Yeah.
people making their own webtoons and stuff. And that's like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
incredibly valid. It's just not, as like relevant to marketing yourself to others.
Yeah, because if your goal is just to put it out there and you have like then marketing doesn't matter. Like if you can do
Exactly.
that, just put it
I
out there.
just felt
Like,
the
that's
need
great.
to
Oh no, it's
mention
super
those
valid.
people, yeah.
Yeah,
And like you were
no,
saying
we were just
earlier,
looking from a
that's
marketing perspective, so that like
yes,
wasn't in my
for
sphere.
sure. No,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. Uh, but to bridge the two together, it is kind of like what you're saying. If you're pitching yourself to people and you don't have anything out there, that doesn't look great because there are all of these like kind of doing it for the sake of doing it ways
oh
to
yeah,
get your stuff out there. So like
oh
even
yeah,
though you might not be able to sell your webtoon to a publisher, you can say, my name is me. I have been putting out this webtoon for, X number of episodes.
yep,
Episodes? Yeah. Episodes.
yep,
Here is the book that I want you to publish.
absolutely,
Like
absolutely,
that is a very important like step
yeah,
in there where you can say,
oh yeah.
look at the like fruits of my labor.
Well, step one before because you can't market yourself if there's nothing to market. Like if you
Yes.
haven't done anything, there's nothing to market. It doesn't matter if you're fantastic. It doesn't matter. Like you haven't done anything. They have no
Hmm.
proof that whatever you're showing them can actually be replicated into comics.
Yep.
So step one before you do anything in this industry is to do something in this industry, which I know sounds counterintuitive, but you need to make it comical. Like before
Absolutely.
anything else, whether it's one page, like I said this before, so I don't want to get, but you need to put something out there, however simple, however basic, because then you can start marketing yourself as the person who did that. And that's when you then get to the marketing and everything that we've discussed. But before that comes the step of actually doing something. And like that's the thing, like I have a friend, I'm not gonna name his name or the kind of person in the industry who he's been talking to, who he's made a great connection with. But this friend was in that spot and he did similar level of marketing the way that I market myself. But the difference that he came into versus me was instead of me being like, I've done all these things, and then that person being like, okay, well, here's kind of how I think I can maybe help you or what I think you should do. He got this great connection. I think it's going to help him immensely with, marketing himself because he's incredibly talented. But the first thing the person told him to do was like, he's like, dude, go make an anthology comic. Like, go pay an artist, get an 8-page comic made because I can't do anything until you have a comic out there. He's like, I think
Yeah.
you're talented. I read because he made a connection good enough that actually he has somebody with a big name reading his scripts, which is crazy because most people in the comic industry, you'll learn, hate reading scripts. It's like their
Yeah.
least favorite thing to do because it's so time consuming to read a script versus reading a comic. So people hate reading scripts in this industry. So he read the script. He's like, you're a great writer, but I can't do anything until you've made a comic. So whether it's 6 pages, 8 pages, do it. And then, so you're a step behind if you haven't done something. So
Hmm.
before you try to do all this work to market yourself, to, do this stuff, like make something. And then everything else can happen. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Like you
there's
said,
my,
the
my
first
last little
step to
thought.
making it in the industry is to make it in the industry.
The first thing, no, I'm gonna amend the words there slightly. The first
Okay.
step to making it in this industry is making something in this industry.
Ooh. If the year was 2014, I feel like that would go on your professional Facebook page, credited to you.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to take us to a wrap on our creator corner this week,
Yeah.
which means we're also going to wrap on our episode. Not to
Yeah,
worry,
so,
we have a fresh episode coming to you on Saturday. Because as
yeah, well, first let's shout out one more time. This past Saturday, we did our
Yes.
polls catch-up episode. Will be linked in the description. That's 3 weeks of polls. If you've been wondering why episodes have not been coming out that regularly, we had a bunch of tech issues and travel and all of this junk that just made it so hard to get anything up. So we caught up on 3 weeks worth of polls. That's all in that episode. It's like a 90-minute episode.
Being 12 issues or something?
11.
14
it ended up
issues?
being 11 issues. 11 issues.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, check that out. It's great. If you're wondering where like books like Heart Piercer, Ain't No Grave, Sinister Sons, Point Rivals, like a bunch of those books. If you're wondering, the new Hunger in the Dusk, for the new volume that came out. If you're wondering where those books are, they're all in that episode. Check it out. But this Saturday, we have something else coming to you. It is, of course, once again time for the Strange Saturday Super Show. And this month, we're going to be reading Happy, which is a book by Grant Morrison and Derek Robertson, which actually is a television show adaptation. But it's quite a weird book about ex-cop who's now, I think, a hitman, and he gets like a tiny blue imaginary friend, and that's kind of what the book's about, which is very entertaining. But I've seen this around a lot. I had a job that ended up falling through where they had asked me to read this, and so I had read, I think, the first issue, and only the first issue, and it's kind of interesting. So I'm very excited for us to read that. We're going to be reading the 4-issue miniseries. I don't know if there's been more since then, but it started as a 4-issue miniseries, and that's what we're going to be reading. But of course, if that's not your style, we also have our main episode. What will we be reading in that, Katie?
So yeah, you're definitely going to go back to our catch-up episode, because this coming week is Ain't No Grave number 4. We've also got The Boy Wonder number 4, and we're going to be jumping into 3 new number 1s. We've got Uncanny X-Men number 1, Gail Simone's new series, Arkham Horror: The Terror at the End of Time by Cullen Bunn to, replenish our bun for the pod now that
Yes.
Monsters is done. And the, as I've heard, much anticipated Pedestrian number 1, the Pedestrian number 1 from Magma
I think
Comics.
pretty much the most buzz I've ever seen for a Magma Comics issue. It's been kind of all over the place. I've been seeing a lot about it, so I think we're both very excited to jump into that new series.
We certainly are. But that's going to be it for this week on the Script Heroes Pod.
So, of course, we'll see you all next week. Comic Geeks.